The opera scene. A romantic vignette right in the middle of a serious rebel mission against an empire. The opera scene. An intermission offering you much needed repose from your everyday life as a battle mage thief warrior. The opera scene. The magnum opus of any Final Fantasy game's cinematic narrative. If you haven't gathered this yet, I'm talking about the opera scene from Final Fantasy VI. And actually, to be really specific, I'm talking about the one that was released on the Super Nintendo when I was a kid, because that's the one that had no CGI cutscenes, no live music, and no voice acting. So you may be wondering, man, why would they decide to put an opera of all things, something that one would assume would be a heavily cinematic scene, in a game for a console that can't even play a movie or music with lyrics? The producers must have been thinking, how in God's name would we even accomplish such a thing without it turning out completely ridiculous? Well, when I started writing this video, I did some research and tried to get some more insight into the scene's development. I managed to find this interview with the legend himself, famed composer of many Final Fantasy soundtracks, Nobuo Uematsu from 2007. He offered this intriguing peek into the world of the scene's development. The Final Fantasy VI development team had an idea to put an opera scene in the game. Yoshinori Kitase wrote the lyrics for it, and I was asked to compose the music. Fascinating. It's not every day you get such an intimate glimpse into creating a cultural masterpiece like the opera scene. Thanks for that, Mr. Uematsu. Even with that hilariously dumbed down description of the process, it is clear the developers put extra work into this sequence. Instead of an opera voice, they simulated a voice using the SNES's SBC 700 sound format. The changes in pitch were meant to match the lyrics. Getting down to it, the point of the opera scene is this. You need an airship. A guy that has an airship happens to be in love with the female lead of a popular opera. One of your party members, Celis, happens to bear a strong resemblance to her. Of course, Celis is a battle-hardened, genetically enhanced Magitech knight, and up until recently was serving as a general under the Emperor himself. The point is, she likes killing things, not singing. But even so, she seems excited about the opportunity, and even though she pretends she doesn't want to be an opera floozy, she runs off and starts warming up that voice. Boy howdy, with a setup like that, one can only imagine what manner of zany antics are going to ensue. That said, at its core, the opera scene is made up of three main narrative threads. The opera itself and the success or failure thereof, Locke showing romantic interest in Celis for the first time, and Ultros wanting to get revenge on our heroes for making him look like such a loser earlier in the game. Herein lies one of the beautiful parts of how this sequence plays out. It flawlessly brings together these multiple threads in a way that doesn't lose your attention and also just doesn't seem like it's trying too hard or something like that. The opera opens with an introductory scene to get you up to speed on its little storyline, after which the camera pans back and control is seamlessly given to the player as Locke, who decides to go check on Celis. After a quick conversation, Celis walks on stage and we're taken to the next part of the play where the player doesn't have control. Of course, I'm not going to walk through each little bit of the scene since that would be a bit redundant, but I did want to point out the general flow of the sequence from scene to scene. There is a sort of minigame in the opera when you get to choose which lyric to sing, although admittedly not much happens if you choose the wrong option. So all in all, the opera is in the game just for the player's entertainment. Okay, time out for 1 second. Listen to this. And now listen to this. Those two songs sound similar, and I don't think it's just me. Getting back on track, Locke eventually discovers the plot that Ultros has hatched to, quote, jam up the opera, unquote. Okay, actually, now that I just brought him up, let me just run something by you. How exactly did Ultros know that Locke and the gang were even going to be at the opera house? Plus, later on when he's about to start pushing the weight, he refers to Celis as Maria, so does he even know that he's about to attack Celis, or is he just taking a jab at the character Maria herself in her inability to shrug this one off, as he says, when compared to, I don't know, what, thinking Drago is dead? And I mean, that sucks and everything, but it's still less lethal than a 4-ton weight being dropped on your head, even if it is the smallest 4-ton weight in the universe. And all this is made even more confusing because evidently the opera singer's real name is also Maria, so God knows who he thinks he's actually about to kill. Anyway, let's just get back to the... No, screw it. You know what? Now that I'm thinking about this, I am really confused about his motives. I mean, when he throws his threatening letter towards the group of people at the start of the scene, Locke is standing there, but so is Impresario, the opera's director, so theoretically he could have meant the letter for either Locke or Impresario. And when Locke finally finds the letter, it says, I owe you one. You, singular. Not you guys, not you idiots, just you. I mean, that's still linguistically inconclusive since you can be plural or singular depending on context, but I'm really starting to think that Ultros just really hates Impresario's directing and wants to kill his star opera singer out of spite. Yeah, I mean, I guess that must be it. Who would have thought that he just hates opera so much that he... No, that doesn't work either, because as he throws his little letter at the group, he says, I'll pretend to be Setzer and foil their little plot. So I guess he really must be planning something against the returners, but then everything he does and says after that contradicts that. And how is he even going to pretend to be Setzer when they've met him before, they know what he looks like? I've just got to stop thinking about it. It's going to drive me insane. I feel like I'm watching Memento all over again. I don't know why I do this to myself. God help me. Okay, you know what? I guess whoever Ultros is trying to screw over is irrelevant at the end of the day, because everybody here has something to lose. I mean, Celis is gonna die, our heroes are gonna lose a valued team member and friend, Locke is gonna lose the girl he's crushing on, their chance at getting an airship is gonna be gone, and worst of all, Impresario is definitely gonna get fired. The game then hands control back over to the player, and so begins a fantastic segment as you run along the rafters above the stage as the play continues to press on below you, fighting scary looking rats, and all the while as your timer ticks ever closer to 0. Naturally, you fall from the rafters onto the stage. I mean, what else was going to happen? You fall down, and Locke and Ultros quickly assume roles in the play in an effort to save it, which is funny, considering that I thought Ultros wanted to ruin the play. But I'm not thinking about it anymore. After that, there's a boss battle, and Ultros takes off and his thread comes to a close. The scene is now over for the most part. Setzer shows up, and so a new plot begins. The thread of Locke's crush on Celis has officially begun and will carry on into the rest of the game. Impresario plays the entire ordeal off as how the play was supposed to go on, and naturally it's a big success, and thus he keeps his job, and for the most part, he concludes his role in the game itself. This whole scene was an interesting, fun way to move the story along that deviated from what most other games would have done, which was, hey, we need an airship, let's travel through this dungeon and fight a boss for it. And you know, I kinda like it. It's pretty good. They did pretty good, pretty decent. Thanks for watching, hope you don't regret it. Say hi on various social networks, what have you, links in the description. You can also check out some of my older videos. I can promise you, if you're new, just let me say right now, all of my videos are of the best quality that you're gonna find on YouTube, and they're all really intelligent. Like this one here, where I talk about what Lulu's breasts look like in HD, and there's a faint popping noise during some of the music segments. That subtlety is matched only by how annoying it is. Enjoy!